Good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. You're locked into Conscious Minds TV, and I'm your host, DVG. And today I have a very, very special guest, my brother Guram from the USA, another fellow amazing astrologer and syncretist. I'm surprised we haven't already done a video. We've been following each other's work for a good few years now. I don't know exactly how long I've been following your work. I don't know, it might be 4 or 5 years, it might be longer, it might be less. I can't really remember.
Because
But
I
the first
remember you.
time I came across your work was, I think Santos shared one of your videos, and then I went to your channel on YouTube, and yeah, I started looking at your videos. The two that stuck out, which I remember watching, was the one where you did the rings of all the planets, and I
Yeah,
think Annalima in it.
yeah, yeah,
And then I
uh,
remember one specifically of your daughter, as you done the video with your daughter where she was
yes,
talking about Leo,
yes,
the lion, and stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you coming on my show, and I really look forward to our chat. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your accepting me on your show, of course. And I'm kind of like feel like first time in a syncretism society because you're one of those guys that always like I followed as well many years. I think more than 5 years, maybe even 7 or 8 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It kind of feels like it,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm not too sure as well.
yeah, it's always been you in my, you know what I mean, and Santos, that two guys, and other guys too, of course, but
Yeah,
mainly you because you kind of like friendly and we kind of get along, many years, I guess, too. And
yeah,
of course, yeah, I have, I in 2014, as like you, right? You know, you kind of know this Santos, and then I know this, because I was in the always interested in how to find the truth for say like in anything, in astrology, in religion, since I was kid. And I had this artistic mind. I was always musician, writing songs, and doing sculptures, painting, good with my hands too.
yeah,
So then I was kind of searching. I was thirsty for more depths, you know what I mean, about every subject, even like Jesus story, because I was always kind of like not religious, but I always had this feeling that I'm in this, wanted to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, why is there is God? Why I'm here? I'm Pisces too, so Pisces are always like,
yeah.
kind of.
Very
So
intuitive.
yeah, and then when I was growing up, I had neighbor. She was a teacher in somewhere in a school, but she was older lady, and she's the first lady who introduced me in astrology. Basically, she's the one showed me like my sign, and then my sister, everybody, and even herself. So then I was obsessed, kind of. After that, I was always, thinking, about these things. So, but like from 2014, I remember when I saw Santos on YouTube accidentally, because that's if you look at my chart, you can see like my placements with that connection. But when I spot him, then I changed my diet. Of course, I was searching those hermetic stuff. You know what I mean? So I went hermit. I kind of start researching from within me. You know what I mean? Like I
Yep.
read. I read a lot of PDF books, about stuff, right? Like there's so many things, but I studied by nature. You know what I mean? Like and I realized when they say like natural science, that means neutral. So it's like a heart chakra. You know what I mean? So it's like um, neutral science, kind of. So I went to this. I was thinking deeper. Like neutral, that means like heart chakra, and when it's related with 144, then while I multiplied 3 times, it came out 432. So you know what I mean. Then I went deeper. You know what I mean. All this geometry and music connected. I had the music with this concept too, with astrology. Like just like researching, like what's the how it's gonna sound somebody's chart, like because there's 12 signs, 12 nodes.
Yep.
You know what I mean. So and there is 7 planets that that shows that there is do re mi fa sol la si in that. So when kind of like when you put this together, everybody has like person has personal sound song in there.
Yep.
Whatever Santos was talking about always, like, so we have our own song in a chart, and you can play that. It's just up to you to be musician, artistic, to improvise that, because some people have squares, so it's a tension sound. So get out of that tension, you kind of, whatever note that it sounds good to get out of that tension sound, that's the house, and that's the sign that will feed your energy to, you know what I mean, to, if you put in another dimension, if you read in chart, you know what I mean, like, what's the remedy to help my, square to get out of that, like, that, so you have to find that, and that dictates what that sound that it's gonna be correspond with that square in a positive way, the way you're hearing, and it sounds so, it sounds so good, and because it sounds so tension, and then it's something that you have to get out of that tension. That's the direction that it shows on a chart, and tone, and many things, even minerals, in a mineral world, 12 minerals, I mean, that's the
Yep.
deficiency.
All
So that means
sorts.
maybe that's the food you need, or something that, that remedy for that square or opposition, because
Yeah.
those usually are kind of, so stuff like that. And of course, you read in astrology certain way that, because I believe, that truth is really simple, and then you don't need a lot of books. You just need to kind of like have imagination, and that connect that imagination with the natural science, which is that whatever I was describing, and then you find everything in there. You know what I mean? Like, everything is going to be open up kind of like a right way, more natural way, because it's not man-made. Nature is very intelligent, so you can't be wrong. You know what I mean? Because it's very advanced. And I'll show you today, basically on a wheel. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how you can do that, maybe. You know
No
what I mean?
problem.
So
I was just going to ask, brother. You said you was into music growing up. I've been the same as well. I kind of find that a lot of us who are into syncretism are quite creative when it
yes,
comes to,
right brain, right?
yeah,
They say.
like music and doing stuff like that. Because like I'm not saying I was good at it, but like first of all, I've always like been into DJing and making beats, and then after that, I kind of got into writing. What type of music, or did you play instruments? Can you elaborate on the music part?
I play every instrument, not like I play, I play guitar mainly and drums, but I
Yeah,
can play other things because I understand. I grew up with instruments, so I can
yeah,
use bass, and make a bass sound, and that is it's in harmony with the song. So, and I even sing before, because I had to, because when I was recording, I was doing it myself, and I had to. I had 4 track. I don't know if you're familiar with 4 track. That it only you can record 4 times
yep,
yourself. You know what I mean? So you have to. So I had to add guitar and sing in same time, so I can have more other things you can add. You know what I mean? So I grew up doing this kind of stuff, music. I and I wrote many songs, and it's not like I published them, but I always had them beside me, and my friend, my sister, my family knows that I'm talented, but I was doing other things later. I was like doing art, painting, sculptures, because I have Mars in Aquarius in my chart.
yeah,
I don't, it's kind of fixed sign, but still it's like breaking through. I don't like same thing, I like to grow bigger, and like, not bigger, but I like to penetrate other things too. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Something outside of the box,
Yeah,
basically.
like,
That's what
because how much you're gonna
Aquarius is
paint? You know what
about.
I mean? I cannot paint 20 years and 40 years same Picasso style, for example. I'm just saying, even my own stuff. So then I find that there is other things. So I'm always wanted to, because see, like, it matters who borns with what. For example, I born with my son in a ninth house in Pisces with Mercury. So
Yeah.
that's like ninth house is Sagittarius house, and
Yep.
I'm always been for higher mind education. I was terrible in school, regular schools, because it was boring, it's horrible. I couldn't understand anything because it was like probably man-made and it was not natural for me. But when I got to this knowledge, I expand and I, what I mean, really naturally. It wasn't hard for me. I was
Yeah.
just had to practice a little bit, train my eye, see different views and what I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was very natural. And yeah, when you're born with a certain placement in a chart, for example, in ninth house is house of God, basically. So it's about
Yep.
high knowledge. So basically, your sun in Pisces, even sun in Pisces, is not that great because it's a last sign. You know what I mean? Because sun ruled by Leo, and exalts in Aries, so it's much powerful there.
Yeah.
But when it's in Pisces, it's more like because it's like when you count from Leo, it's 8 from the Leo, so it's like more like transformation. Sun is
Yep.
gonna die, and then that's why it's gonna go in Aries.
Yeah.
So
It is a transformational sign because it's the end of the cycle, isn't it, Pisces?
yeah, and
So, yeah.
plus,
But you know what's interesting though,
yeah,
brother? You can see. I would look at that in a different way. I would see like Pisces as the most wise because they're kind of they're holding because Pisces is the 2 feet, right?
yeah,
In the body. So Pisces is literally holding up the rest of the zodiac. So I
yeah,
kind of see
yeah,
it as like one of the most wisest as well, because it's like they're all of the other ones all in one, if that makes sense. It's like they're
yeah,
holding up
exactly.
the rest
Yeah,
of
it is. Yeah,
the
exactly.
zodiac, and also it being the feet as well, which is the most sensitive part of the body. They're
Yes,
very
yeah,
sensitive and they can feel things. Obviously, it being a water sign too. Do you get what I
yes,
mean? But it's interesting what you were saying about your son being in the ninth house with Mercury, which is the house of Sagittarius. And I guess that's where we both have something in common. My son's not in the ninth house; it's in the fifth house. But I have Sagittarius in my fifth house, and I've got a stellium in Sagittarius. So that's where we both get
yes,
our
exactly.
like, higher wisdom, spirituality, knowledge. Because obviously, the motto of Sagittarius is "I see."
Yeah,
And that's
exactly,
why it's the archer,
exactly.
because he pinpoints
Yeah,
what
and
you see.
plus, five house five is intelligent house. It's a trine house with ninth. So
Yep,
they same houses. They just fixed
yep,
area of ninth house. Imagine, but it's still most like good karmic house is the fifth, because see, like you born with a Leo ascendant and
yep,
sun is in fifth house. That means you are intelligent because your ascendant, the way you look, even everything, appearance, everything is made for be intelligent. With the charisma, because fifth house is charisma,
yep,
and and everything. You know what I mean? Like most, it's a seed of your chart basically, because fifth house where you put the seed, and then that seed's gonna grow in a ninth house. You know what I mean? And then it's
yep,
gonna come back to you, the first house, because
yep.
those first 5 and 9 are trine numbers.
Shrine, yeah, the fire houses,
Fire, yeah.
yeah, and
Even
sun,
in
yeah,
numerology, that's a fire numbers. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So those that's why with those placement like you have, even I'm not saying like some people have all the houses are really deep and spiritual. It's not
yep,
only ninth house. You know what I mean? Some people think,
yep, of
okay,
course,
now that's not true. You know what I mean? Because there is people that born with other places, like Santo was born in the seventh house. Seventh house is very deep too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's the Libra house. It's you know what I mean. So ruled by Venus even, but there's other things that you should see, because there's each house is so deep. For example, like Santos has Scorpio on the third house, right? So Mars of that ruler of that Scorpio third house is in the 12th house in Leo, because Leo kind of tilt up in its 12th house, and even 12th house ruled by Virgo. You know what I mean? No, 12th house ruled by what's wrong with the Cancer. But I'm just saying that when you see his Mars in a 12th house, and when you see it's from the 3rd house, which is his mind, his speech, his YouTube channel, everything is 3rd house. So when he speaks, like, because Mars is penetrating, that's where you act. So he speaks in the 12th house things, which is about legends, the things that people don't believe, kind of, they think it's, but it's very deep, you know what I mean? And with the passion within Leo. That's why, and, that shows that, he speaks even like some unknown symbology language, because that's the 12th house. So his mind is in there. And plus he does it for free, because 12th house is donation. When you give up, solitude, you know what I mean? So he's not trying to make money with that, you know what I mean? He's just that's why he gave so much knowledge for free. Somebody would use that for wealth, you know what I mean? And Santo
it makes sense what you're saying with the 12th house and the free thing, because the 12th house is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is about and giving and being kind and service. Do you get what I mean? To other people. So that totally makes sense. Did you say his Mars was in the 3rd house?
Mars was in
Mars is in the
12th house, because ruler of Scorpio of 3rd house. That's why every time Mars transits his 3rd house, he gets like really like, he speaks kind of like aggressive, like he and you know what I mean, like when he gets like kind of like talkative more, and maybe like that's why his channel got destroyed last time when he had Mars pass transit in his 3rd house. You know what I mean, kind of that effect, because he was kind of like spilling the truth, too much truth out, you know what I mean? And then that's good, he's but that's what happens. So, and plus 12th house means like foreigner countries, unknown places. So he always, that's why he even went there, you know what I mean, somewhere, because Mars is something happened in his neighborhood where he grew up, and then he had to go somewhere to escape, even kind of that energy. I'm not saying that he did something wrong, I'm just saying that that's the energy. And plus his younger cousin gets lucky if she even goes somewhere far away countries, because that's the energy that. And I noticed that her nephew or somebody that is very involved with his works too, you know what I mean? So
I think we're talking about is it Sonia who does his graphics and stuff?
Yes, she does that too. So that's the 3rd house of his. So there's so many things. And then you have to check 12th house ruler, where is it? Got it? Like, and then you go farther. Then what he's gonna, because when it's in a 3rd house ruler is in a 12th house, then you see the 12th house ruler, where is it? And then on, and then you come back to that, where it'll end somewhere. And that's the, that's how you can go deep with these things, you know what I mean? Because I believe that you should, like, because see, like every angle, like I calculated, there's 144 angles in a chart, you know what I mean? Like you have to, like, that doesn't repeats, that it's always different, 144, because there'll be like 1st house ruler in a 1st house, that's the 1st angle. Then the 1st house ruler in a 2nd house, which is like certain degree in a geometry. And then you see like 1st house ruler in a 3rd house, which is square, not square, but it's more like sextile, 60 degree. And when you describe with under the 7 energy, which is moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Sun, and Saturn, all 7 of them make a different characters, like they make a different, but it'll be same kind of scenario, but it'll be under different qualities. For example, under Saturn will be different than under Venus. Same, like you have under the Sun, because Sun represents your father. That means your father was intelligent as well, because when you have Sun in a fifth house, that's your father, was intelligent guy who was kind of like creative. Maybe he liked some pleasurable things too, you know what I mean, like playing, you know, something. But it's more intelligent father. It shows that too, because automatically Sun represents father, you know what I mean, higher father as well, you know what I mean, not like maybe your biological, but in spiritual dimension, it's your God is generous to you to give you that placement to fifth house, you know what I mean, which is good house. That's, you know what I mean.
Yes, it rules the Sun rules in the fifth house, exactly.
Plus exactly, plus that, plus its fifth house is great place for, you know, any planet even, you know what I mean. I think because it's still good, pleasurable place, you know, energy, you know.
I see the fifth house as sometimes it's a great house, but sometimes it's everything is fun and games. Like that's kind of how, because the fifth house also is to do with like playfulness and children as well. And it's very it's a very creative house. I do see myself as a creative person. I would say I was a lot more creative. I still am a creative person. But I would say that like as I've matured and got more into my spiritual journey, my creativeness is more to do with my work and sharing knowledge rather than just for fun, if that makes sense.
Exactly. But you could entertainment, you know what I mean, because you, when you have fifth house, it's more like you have like charisma of entertainment. Got it? Like you could be like singer or could be rapper like you are, and you're good, great rapper. I love your voice, and you know what I mean, like your rap way, because I heard it and I was like, wow, you know, because you turn different when you sing, or you know what I mean, than you're now, you know what I mean. So
a lot. I say, you know, what's interesting, Guram, is that when you look at like my chart and like the dominant element, my dominant element in my chart is fire. My chart is 40% fire, 25 air and water, and only 10% earth. So I feel like when I am like doing my music and stuff, like my fire side comes out of me more, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. Yes,
passionate.
Definitely.
So like, although I'm not a very fiery person in general, I do have a lot of fire in me as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. Especially with the first house ascendant, when you have a Leo. That's the most important. That's already under fire. You know what I mean? That's you know what I mean. So
I've got a Leo ascendant, and then I've got a Sagittarius stellium.
Yep, and plus
and Aries MC as well.
MC Aries. Exactly. That's the most important, because that's where the ending. Because see, like a ninth sign, that's where the knowledge gonna go from the fifth. So that means Aries is individuality too. You know what I mean? Plus, you have to check your Mars. Where is it? So that's the area of.
Got a weak Mars though. My Mars is in Libra.
Oh yeah, but what house that means?
Third house.
Third house, which is house of efforts and skills. So you're very skillful. That means those people are very skillful, because third house, that's where you get your skills. Plus Mars is there. That means you tried many things that, you know what I mean, that this because Mars is that energy that it creates where you penetrate most. And third house is not easy house, it's more effort house. That's where you kind of, you know, make a exercise, or like you practice house, you know what I mean, like and then you get good out of it, you know, once you practice, you know what I mean, because third house is learning, and you know, kind of you have Mars there. That means you're a good teacher too, that you can that's why you are, as of course you are, you know what I mean, that you penetrate like real some, you know, learnings and mind, because you're kind of like you have Mars there in your mind, you know what I mean, so very penetrative mind.
What one question I always ask my guests is that about their sun sign. Again, it's just more of a fun question. Is if you could name one thing you love about being a Pisces sun, and one thing, if there is anything that you don't like about being a Pisces sun.
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot. Yeah, but I think if
You
I like,
just, it is what it is.
yeah, I think every sign has second negative or whatever you want to call. You
Of
know what I mean?
course.
And then when you compare with other, it could be maybe not that bad yours because you're already here with your. So sometimes I'm thinking maybe it should be like this, but sometimes I'm thinking opposite because Pisces is difficult sign. I think too, as well, because it's especially with Mercury that I have in a Pisces. You know what I mean? Because um, it's made for deep things, but it's not practical, and then
Yeah.
you don't succeed much. You know what I mean? Because of your practicality goes kind of out. You're more like, people look at you as a delusional. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
because Pisces is imagination. It's very advanced. Because it's like you mentioned, like Pisces is deep. You know what I mean? Because uh, every sign needs each other.
Of
That's why we
course.
have. You know what I mean? That's why we only have sun there and few planets, but whole charts matter because whole energy is made out of 12ness. So that's why some people have stellium in some other sign, like could be Aries, full of a lot of planets, but Sun would be in Pisces or other place,
Yeah.
because every planets are shows your like why you like what you have there, like energy wise. But that's what happens when you Pisces, you get lost. But to make it practical, you have to use a Virgo quality, right? So that means you have to like be practical. So I have that on my third house, which is good, but still a ruler of that third house is in a ninth house in a Pisces, which is fall. But it's still like analyzes
That's
things.
so interesting, brother. So you're saying your Mercury is in the ninth house, which
Yeah.
is opposite. But that's so interesting because, sorry to cut you off, my
No, no.
Mercury is in Sagittarius, but it's not in the ninth house. So that's
Yeah.
similar. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Whereas we've both of our Mercuries more relate to the Sagittarius energy.
Yes,
Both of our
exactly.
charts.
Because it's ruled by Jupiter still.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? That's why,
Interesting.
yeah, very interesting. And plus, you have it in a fifth house, right? Your Mercury.
My Mercury's in the fifth house. That's right.
So that's see, like that's an intelligent house. So that's why your mind, and you know what I mean, because Mercury is your nervous system and your speech and everything. So it's connected with fifth house.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, like. So that means your second house would be connected with your fifth house as well. See, like your speech, because
Yeah.
second rules your lips and mouth. So that means your food taste is very high too, because see, like fifth house is a good quality things, intelligence. So that means your taste is intelligent too. So there's a lot of things you can tell, you know what I mean, by
Yeah.
mouth. And so that means you could prefer, that means your voice is pleasant, because fifth house is pleasure, and your speech, Virgo rules there. Even its detriment still is good, because you
Yeah. I get
accidentally
you.
remember, like when you're born in a, even with the detriment sign, you're born in a good house that increases that. You know what I mean? It still gives you good
Yeah.
quality, because you know what I mean. Some
Yeah. I
people have
remember.
opposites, like
Yeah, I
domicile in a
remember we
bad house.
spoke about this last time. Like, for example, I remember when I was telling you, for example, when I read some people's charts, it's like, it's such, like you said, there's, like you were saying, there's like 144 possibilities. There's so many different combinations. Like, for example, someone could have like Venus in the seventh house, which is great, but then it could be in Aries, which is not great. So then
Exactly.
you've got that.
That's yeah. That's how
Yeah,
you
what
see
I
it.
mean? So it's
Yep.
in the right house, but
But
you're using that energy in the wrong, with the wrong, in the wrong way. Not using it in the wrong way, but it's not. an ideal match for it, because
Exactly. Yeah.
obviously Aries is very brash and hard, whereas Venus is
Mm-hmm.
soft. Do you get what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
where you might have some
Yeah.
challenge. You might face challenges in your chart, for example. So,
Yep.
like you said, it's so interesting. This is another thing that I always tell people is just like, you know, like people that always are kind of skeptical about astrology is like, oh yeah, but if astrology was real, then all people who are Pisces or all people who are Aries would be the same. But it's not that simple. It's so complex. Like you said, like you got to know what house the planet's in and then what sign it's in, whether it's detrimented, whether it's fallen,
Exactly.
or whether it's in its exalting sign, or whether it's like there's so much to it. It's not
Yeah.
easy
Exactly.
as just
So
being
so
a
much.
Scorpio
Yeah.
and you being
Exactly.
a Pisces. Do you get what I mean? It's just, and then like, yeah, it's just there's so much to it. It's actually a very technical subject and science once you study it and
Exactly.
see it for what it really is. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause-
It's so cool because when you study those, you see the theology of from other sources. Like
yeah,
you see theology from Bible, from Quran, from Bhagavad Gita, from
yeah,
all these other things, that even legends. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
when you place Aries on a first house, for example, and when you like, for example, how to describe what Aries is, right? Like whoever described it the first time, like what is Aries, what is Mars, how they did it, how they did it. So I noticed that you can put everything in a first stationary house on ecliptic. Basically ecliptic goes on certain energy. For example, house system, I'm going to show it here maybe.
yeah,
So this is houses, for example, and then you have I'm holding it right, okay.
yeah. You're
So,
holding it right. Yeah,
yeah, so you have like first, of course, second. So that's your Taurus field, basically.
yeah,
But when you have an ascendant sitting in a house, for example, you have like Pisces ascendant or Aries ascendant,
yeah,
it shows the whole 12 fields of that sign. So, for example, if you want to find out what Aries is and relate Aries for like age of Aryan age, which was like Moses, for example,
yeah,
when you put Moses Aries on a first house
yeah,
like this, see,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So then you see the whole picture, like what kind of house. For example, Moses didn't have stable situation at home because they had to. There was soldiers and they wanted to kill every babies. So see, like when you see Cancer sitting on a fourth house for Aries, which is Moses, which is Mars, ruled by Mars, you
yeah,
know that it's a detriment in a home. So that
yeah,
means he would not have home, but he exalts in Capricorn on the top, where's the authorities. That's when he
yeah,
gets adopted by Pharaoh, basically.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So you
makes
go kind
total
of,
sense.
you see kind of like somebody who rode a Moses, he was holding this star wheel, you know what I mean? Because everything written by star from the stars, right? So it's not like you're looking at with a binocular and you're reading stars, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is looks like my cousins, something, you know what I mean? And it's not like they put like more like by order, by because they knew there is a 12 constellation
Yeah,
and there is ecliptic. You know
yeah,
what I mean? That ecliptic always moves every 2 hours, like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
and then every 12 months that it's Aries, that's ecliptic, but it's within a day is the same ecliptic going on every
yeah,
2 hours. So they knew that, and they put this first house, any energy, because they kind of knew that by symbology, there is a Mars energy, which is ruled by Sun, of course, because Sun exalts there,
yeah,
and then even Mercury is related with the sign of Aries in esoteric astrology because he's the ruler. Because Mercury always follows the sun. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
close. So of course he's kind of like second son of, you know what I mean? It's almost like a son, you know what I mean? Like you have like your dog with you, it's a pet, and pet is your family member, it's your brother, you know what I mean? It's not like...
Very interesting what you're saying, brother, because in Islamic theology, we say that, like, obviously in Christian theology too, like Jesus is seen as God's son, or is connected to the sun. But it's interesting because in Islamic theology, Mercury corresponds with Jesus, which is really interesting because like generally it's corresponded with the sun and Jupiter as well. But that also makes sense because when you think about it, every sign that is ruled by Jupiter, opposing it is a Mercury sign. So you it's connected anyway.
Exactly.
Whether Jesus is Mercury or Jupiter, it's probably both. Do you get what I'm saying? One is maybe a higher nature and one is more of a younger nature. Because obviously opposite Pisces is Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, and then opposite Sagittarius is Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it was interesting what you were saying about the Moses thing as well, like with it, the Cancer thing, because obviously Cancer squares Aries.
Exactly. So plus, it's too hot for alchemically, too hot for a water sign.
Yeah.
So it's that's why she couldn't have him home, and she had to release him in a river, which is that moon, and that cross the river. There is a pharaonic, which is the Capricorn 10th house. So she sent it. So it's a mythology about Mars, how Mars have a bumpy road, and then he gets to the top, and then gets to the, then he comes up from the Egypt going up again in Israel. You know what I mean? So it's like you see that circles, you know what I mean? Like, and you see other entities too. Like you see, like when you put Moses, for example, like when you mention Jupiter is involved with, Jesus, or Mercury is involved with Jesus, right? Why? When you put Pisces age, that's how you check. That's how you check the truth. You know what I mean? It's not my opinion. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So see, like when you put like Santos showing, that's why Santos. I learned from him to do this, but I put it on a more another dimension with the house system, so you can see much deeper. You know what I mean? So look, when you put Pisces age on a first house, what do you see here on Pisces home? For example, wait, let me hold it right. You see Gemini. Gemini ruled by what? Mercury. So home of Pisces, which is detriment. That's why even Jesus didn't have home. They had to run away. They move because Gemini is moving, and because that's why Mother got pregnant by messenger of the spirit, because that's the Mercury on a fourth house ruled by Gemini. You know what I mean? That if you like how she got pregnant, that's her. Okay, when you put Pisces age, which is Pisces age, and then you see Jupiter. Jupiter is the main character of Pisces. So Pisces home is not good. That's why he grew up kind of running. You know what I mean? From first had to run, and then even some messengers came to him. That's a Mercury too, because they visit him, and where he born. Because see, like where you born, fourth house is the place where it shows your birth, you know what I mean, kind of originality, and it shows he was in detriment for Jupiter. That's why he born in a weird, kind of like his cows, not, you know what I mean, like because he wasn't, he was okay, but to give birth, but he wasn't ideal still, you know what I mean. It was kind of weird place. Why he born in why he couldn't get somebody, room, you know what I mean, or some, why he was like odd place, which is like animals, around. It was kind of like weird. So. See, like Jupiter didn't have, like place at home, but Jupiter exalts in Cancer, right?
Yep.
So so it shows that at some point, which is the fifth cycle. If you read the Bible, probably it shows that there is like something that's going on in a fifth cycle from the first. But the thing is that when you see even like Sagittarius sitting on a 10th house, that's a spirituality, kind of Jupiter ruled that too. So, that's the house that he went when he was 10 years old. You know what I mean? When he went to 10 years old, like they were looking for him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm at home." Didn't you know? Because Sagittarius was sitting in a 10th house. This is Jupiter's house in a 10th house, which is, it was the main place, like a, that spiritual for the Israel or whatever, that's 10th house, because 10th house shows that, plus when you see the ninth house is a spirituality of that age. It was under the Scorpio.
Yep.
Scorpio sits there.
Yep.
So Scorpio, remember Judas was involved.
Yep.
Judas was involved with priest. Priest is ninth house, because that's Romans, and you know what I mean? Like 10th house is more like a boss house, is authorities. But behind them, which is 12 from the 10th, is the 9th, which is like behind the scene, which is spirituality, which is priest, you know what I mean? And behind that 8th house, which is even deeper, of course, if you go that way. But I'm just saying the 9th house represents that spirituality, but it was under the Scorpio. Scorpio ruled by Mars, of course, you know what I mean? And of course, Mars exalts in Capricorn, you can tell, you know what I mean, because it belongs to, it's, see, like about Mars, that it's exalts in Capricorn, which is like ruled by Saturn, which is enemy of Sun.
Yeah.
And Sun rules Leo and exalts in Aries, which is kind of like Mars is between them. Like, one of those like soprano stuff, like mafia stuff, has like guy that they trust, but later he betrays, and then he gets punished, because that's a Mars. Because
but it makes sense that Mars would exalt in Capricorn, because it's that energy of the goat climbing, the bang, climb it, the sun, and it's the energy of the sun climbing back up towards
exactly
towards the Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah.
To get what I mean. So it makes sense that it exalts there. Like, to me, that's like how I explain it to people. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's so interesting, brother, how you're mentioning how, for example, like specific theologies or specific stories have a certain chart, or have a certain age. Like, for example, like I did a video on like the birth chart of Prophet Muhammad and Islam, and both of those charts have a particular layout, which is an Aquarius rising, Taurus IC, Leo DC, and Scorpio MC, and that's a whole story as well. And that to the Kaaba, which I've done a video on as well. But like, it's interesting. Like, I'm just bringing it up because you brought up about how you can see the story in the chart, basically, or the age.
And plus you can even
in Islam too.
Exactly. And plus you can see even more things that is hidden, you know what I mean? Because when you do it this way, maybe, because Bible was so, you know what I mean, translated that, and who knows what it is. So to know the truth, you can still go with this, and then you see the energies, you know what I mean? Because that's how they did it, you know what I mean? Otherwise, so what that means, that we could get to the original source with this, you know what I mean? And then that'll be the indigenous, you know what I mean, like way to do the things, I think, because it opens up the 12th field. You can see everything. You can see even hidden things that maybe they didn't mention it to us. Because I see, like, for example, Romeo Juliet. Remember I was talking about? When you put Romeo Juliet, for example, and when you put Moses, and when you put Adam and Eve, it's the same story. Because see, like, that's Aries energy starting point. So they're all detriment, and you see the same story. Adam and Eve, for example, what happened? Like, that's Adam, first house.
Mars, and Eve is Venus.
Venus, second, right? And opposite of them, which is like opposite of Aries, is Libra, which is detriment for Libra. And opposite of Taurus is Scorpio, which is 8th house in this placement. If you put these energies, kind of like Adam and Eve. So you can obviously see that Venus especially has a bumpy road more than Mars, kind of, because Venus has to go through, like, first she starts okay in Gemini, then goes to Cancer, she's fine. Then in Leo, it's okay. Then she goes to Virgo, is detriment right
Yep.
away before she gets to her home.
Yep.
And then she gets home, but look, later
And then
Scorpio, which is detriment again.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Then look, then Sagittarius, then it's okay. Then Capricorn, detriment again. Before she gets to exaltation, that's what we're going now. So it's a really bumpy road right here, everywhere. You know what I mean? So that's why she's the Mary Magdalene, and she was like slutty, and then she gets good. You know what I mean? That's the Venus. You know how consciousness of Venus goes up. You know, and then she becomes good. But first she's sneaky, maybe, or whatever, slutty or whatever. But I'm just saying that that's how this what they did when they knew the movement on Venus, how bumpy her road is, how bumpy is together with Mars will be together, because Mars will determinate in a Cancer. That's why see, like when you put chart like this, you can see Romeo and Juliet's charts too. Romeo is Mars and Juliet, so they love each other, but their families are really like enemies to each other. So what it shows that his family was Montecini or Montecchio, they in English. Mon is by moon. Moon means, because see, like his fourth house of Romeo was under the moon. Montecchio, that the ruler of moon. So that it shows his home. Same time, it shows his marriage, that it's very detriment. You know, that's why he was in love with this girl, is Venetia, because it was happening in Venora. Yeah, Venora. It was really next to the Venice.
Yep.
So Venera is, you know what I mean, Venus.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? And because see, like when you put this chart, you can see like Venus still rules like all the wealth more than even Mars.
Yeah.
Because she's in the second house, and even Judge, because Venus's father, she was only daughter of Capuletti. Capuletti means like he was basically he was like a patriarch. He was like a judge, kinda, but so that's like Libra. It shows like Libra was on, because Saturn ruled Saturn exalts in Libra.
Yes.
So Venus is in seventh house. That's her father. You know what I mean? So and it shows even friend of, which is third house, friend of Romeo, which is Mercury. Because
wow.
Yeah, Mercutio was his brother, which is Gemini, and he was the trickster. He was the talkative guy. You know what I mean? And
so interesting, because you said, because the third house is about brothers and sisters as well.
Yeah, he's his friend. He grew up with this guy. He was in school with him, so he was really good friend. Almost, but same time, Mercutio was bloodline to the Prince of Scalilagi or Scalagi family, which was like was ruling the Venora. He was the Prince of Venora, so he was related. So that means Gemini is related with air sign Libra and Capricorn. So he was accepted that royal family, because he like excess of Gemini, where it sits on a third house, which is neighborhood. He was kind of it shows that is connected with Libra, because Libra is air sign, and Aquarius even 10th, which was like youngest. He was youngest cousin of Prince Paris, or Prince, even they call it other name, Castillo, or there was some Italian family. You know what I mean? They actually exist even now. So you know what I mean? Like they exist, those families, whoever they mentioned here in Romeo. It's not fictional that much. You know, and I'm pretty sure probably they follow that, you know, chart, and that's why they even play out all this royal family, Italians hidden family here. So look, now that Mercutio is his friend. So, and of course, everybody, you have to know a Romeo Juliet story. Mercutio basically gonna insult like Juliet's Juliet's cousin is from her mother's brother's son, Tablet, Tibble, yeah, or something was his name. So Tibble gets stabbed because I mean, no, Thibault's gonna kill Mercutio because he's gonna Mercutio's gonna insult him. He's gonna call him like kind of like names, cazzo, cazzo means dick and dickheads and stuff, and the way he was fighting or something, and he stabs him. And then Romeo's gonna stab him, right? So he dies, and you know what? You know why I'm saying? Because see, like Mercury ruled by Virgo as well, and Virgo sits on the sixth house, house of accidents still, and something. So that means like even Mercutio's mother was like had health issue problems too, and had Mercutio was came from the family that was kind of like had some problems. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't perfect family because from the third, sixth is the fourth, which is Mercutio's mother as well. If you see it with another dimension, because every field you can open it with a 12. That's how the whole first concept of house system came to. That's why we have 7 is a partner, right, in traditional, and 7 from the 7th second is partner's money, which is 8. So that's second. That's why it's second, and then third you can see partner's mind, which is 9th house, and you know what I mean, on and on. You can see a lot of stuff this way, and you see, you can even see this in theology of all these fictional or whatever the stories that is. So what I notice here, Mehmet, most important, Mercutio, of course, 3rd house is his friend, but the thing is that when Juliet's gonna take that medicine that keeps her in sleep for 42 hours, that's like a probably moon cycle, in sea, because when Venus goes through Virgo, that's when she sends the message to Romeo, letter that prepare him that she's gonna go fakely sleep, like, and everybody will think that she's dead, and then when he's gonna come in 42 hours, she'll wake up and then run away, and then nobody, the family would not, so this is the only way, because there was a killing going on, like they killed, Romeo killed cousin of Juliet, so it was like really crazy situation. It was impossible to even get married, nothing, because Romeo was like sent to death. Even he just escaped, So so the thing is that when she sends the letter, which is Virgo in 6th house, and it's under the Mercury. Mercury is retrograding because Mercutio died. Mercury is something's going on with Mercury, because that's energy. So that's why the letter is not gonna come to the right time to Romeo. It'll late, and Romeo's gonna get message from his family member like, "Oh, Juliet is dead. Oh my God!" And he's gonna think it's real, and then he's gonna get the poison, because see, like, that's where Mars will go in Libra. It's detriment. Because Venus is in here in 7th house, where the Juliet is laying. Because after Virgo, she sent the message when she was struggling, had problems. Then message didn't come. So when she fall asleep, Romeo came. Romeo killed himself with this poison. She's like, "Oh, I love you. You know what I mean? I can take your death. I can't live without you. It's horrible. Even even next sign is my sign home, but I don't care. I'm gonna die now." And then he dies, and then she wakes up after 40, and she goes like, "What's going on? Why poison is?" Oh, and he sleeps. She even kisses his lips to get the poison. She cannot get out, and then she grabs the knife because Venus will enter the 8th house, which is Scorpio right here. And that's where she ends anyway. So that's why she stabbed herself with martial energy, which is knife stabbing. So even Shakespeare didn't came out with this, because even before Shakespeare, it was in Bhagavad Gita, in an Indian story. There was a Shiva and Ketu. I'm not sure, somebody, like, there was a same thing. They were like in love, and they couldn't, they had these enemies, parents, and they died, you know what I mean, because of love. So see, like, it's everything it shows here that it's detriment. So it's like Adam and Eve throwing off from the heaven to the hell, which is kind of like God, lower realms and lower consciousness. You know what I mean?
you know what's interesting, brother, as well? Like talking about theology and mythology as well. Um, I read in a book, like, because I don't know if you're aware, in Islam they say that supposedly Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old who was Aisha. I'm sure you've heard about that before.
Yes, I've
Yeah,
heard of that.
but but and I used to think to myself, oh, what is this allegory? It must mean something. But now, when I read a book, I know what it means now. In the book, it says there's a book called Venus, Quran, and You, or I can't remember the full name of the book, but it's in my presentation. And basically,
I'll
what the guy says in there is that what Muhammad marrying a 6-year-old represents is actually when the sun goes into Virgo, sixth house. That's
yeah,
what it's really
yeah,
talking about. But
exactly. That's
people,
where.
and you know what really winds me up is that I see people sit there and actually talk about it like it's a real thing that happened, and they sit there and defend,
Yeah,
oh yeah, maybe it was normal back
exactly.
then and this and that, but they're not
Yeah, that's it.
understanding the the astrotheology or
Theology of that.
the
Yeah,
esoteric or symbolism behind it. And that's what's so frustrating about sometimes when you watch religious people talk, although like sometimes they talk about things literally, when I watch it, I can still make connections because I understand the deeper esoteric side of things. Do you get what I mean? And
yeah, exactly. Of course.
it's like it's so obvious that Muhammad, like Jesus, is like related to the sun because Muhammad is also called Rasul, which
Mm-hmm.
is Rasul.
Russell. Wow.
Rasul, Muhammad and
Yes.
Rasul.
Soul.
Yeah, so it's Rasul. And Rasul also
Yeah.
in Norse, Rasul, even in English, the word Russell means someone who is red haired.
Yep.
So it's like the sun with its
Rusty.
yeah,
Rust.
exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all same. Even in my language, when you say what is it? What you say ra, ra, ra.
Yeah.
Ra means like sun. So that
Yeah,
means
yeah,
you automatically say that and they don't realize. They think it's a Georgian language. You know what I mean? It's original. But ra means like sun, sun god, ra. Because it's a
yeah.
R letter is most vibrative, like
Yeah,
sound. So ra will be makes sense. You know what I mean? And
yeah. It's so
yeah, it's so
interesting.
crazy.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like talking about etymology. Today I made an amazing syncretism that I put the post on my Facebook about.
Cool.
I saw someone do a post about how we live in a matrix and the world is a stage and this and that and then I started like thinking and decoding and I thought, wow, like is it? But the thing is, if you look at the language, it's in the language. For example, if you look at the word um, life and the word lie, it's pretty much the same word, but they've just put an F in it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is in the English language, if you look at all the words that start with F, they all allude to like lies or deceptions. So, for example, you got words like false, facade, fantasy, fabricated, fib,
Yeah.
like that F, that F
Yeah.
vibration in the English language all relates to things that like are
Yeah.
deceiving, basically. But what's
Exit.
so interesting, brother, in Turkish is similar. So, for example, the word for life in Turkish is hayat with a T,
Hayat. Mm-hmm.
but in but the word for dream is hayal
Wow.
with an L.
So
So
interesting. Right?
again, they're
Yeah.
almost identical. So I
Dream
thought,
is the life is the dream.
yeah, exactly. They're
We are in
telling
a
us
dream.
in the language.
We are, and yeah, she can see the truth. You know what I mean? Like,
Just knowing what each letter means and the vibe. Because, for example, the T corresponds with the cross and
mm-hmm.
the physical world. So
Yep.
that's right, because the word hayat means life, but hayal with the al means el, Allah, God, means dream, like spiritual, something
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when
Oh,
you understand letters and the vibrations,
it's,
that's it's weird. You can decode things without even reading,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm.
understanding
Yeah,
particular things and what they mean. Do you get what I mean? So
yeah. It's
it's
so many.
just like sometimes it's just I did a status on Facebook and I did a little post about it, and I was thinking like probably 8 out of 10 people reading my post must think this guy's crazy. Like, what's he talking about? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you
But
mean. Yeah,
I don't care because I know there's a couple of people like yourself or whoever that are syncretists and understand language will get what I'm saying. Do you get what I'm saying? And
yeah, exactly. That's
so
yeah.
it's just, yeah,
That's
man.
that's
People,
why I came up on your show, because
yeah,
these things that I'm talking about, only people like you and you know what I mean, that could understand, because
yeah,
otherwise it'll be Chinese language for them, you know. It could be like, what the hell is he talking about? But
exactly.
yeah, but it makes sense with that mind's eye, you know what I mean? Like when you put that, plus you have to have some knowledge of domicile, you know what I mean, some astrology, and you can just like not know those things, ignore, and then do this. You need to know the basic stuff, but that basic simplicity could be very, you know, where it could turn, you know, to another dimensions. It could be
Yep,
very complicated, and it's up to you how practical your mind is. But you could, yeah, like you could use it in every field. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's even numbers. You know, I think
yep,
numbers work
yeah.
same ways too.
Numbers,
You know.
definitely. It's just like, yeah, numbers is a whole nother thing as well because it's just like, because for example, brother, I've thought about this even with the signs. Like, for example, like you could have each sign without Aries, Pisces, Taurus, and Gemini, and the number still represents the sign and what it means. Do you get what I'm saying? Because, for
Exactly.
example, number one, Aries, I am, that's just your individuality, like you
Of
said.
course. And everybody says number one is leader number,
Yeah.
right? It's like, where they come, where do you get that right concept? Like,
Number two is doubling, so it means you and something else that you have. The second house is I have.
exactly,
Do you get
exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yep,
And then
yep,
once you know what you've got and yourself, then it then goes to your mind and what you're thinking. I think, which is the next
exactly.
one. Then
Yep,
after that, number four, the box. Number four, the square, is about your home,
yep, yep.
which is in
Makes,
Cancer.
yeah,
So what I'm saying is,
so
you don't
crazy.
need
Yeah,
the. You could even just do it with number. You could even talk about the zodiac with just numbers.
yeah, and yeah,
Sagittarius, number
exactly.
9, the highest number, for
Yep.
example, in the 1 to 9. I know we spoke
Mm-hmm.
about the 12 thing, but I'm just saying generally,
Yeah, to nine. Yep.
1 to 9, 9 is the highest number I see. It's that transformation point. It's
Exactly.
what I'm saying is like you don't you obviously the archetypes of the zodiac adds extra dimension, but I'm just saying it for simple people who would want to learn. You don't even like you could even learn it just through the numbers and what
Mm-hmm.
each number means corresponds to each sign. So
Exactly. Yeah, I always use
depends on your understanding of knowledge and how you see the world.
yeah,
Ultimately, that's all it
yeah. I
comes.
I even know these numbers play out energies on certain numbers. For example, like I had, like if somebody has like certain number, it vibrates on their, you know what I mean, and then it means, because numbers are not only quantities, it's has qualities.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because now it's more in quantities, and then they look at only quantity way, because one is one, right? Okay, everybody saw two is two, and you know, but um, they don't understand that each number has a torus field,
yeah,
and each number opens in 12 segments again. And when you look at that way, that's how the house system came out at the first place, because from 1, 7 is you, your reflection. From
Yeah.
7, 1 is 7 again, so is you. Got it? So like, okay, so see, like from second, for second, like for example, for first house, 8th house will be transformative house, right?
Yeah.
But for second house will be the 9th house, will be 8 from the second. So that means
Yeah.
8 and 9, 9 and 2, they don't get along. It's 8 makes them apart. So that means it's kind of like not that good. That means if somebody has a lot of planets in a 9th house and some planets in second house, that means there'll be some distortion in the family things between father and marriage or something too, because it depends what lord is that second. So you can tell that, like when you're born with 9th house placement, right? Somebody like I have, it doesn't mean that it's good only. You know what I mean? It has a negative effect, because when you're born 9th, for your assets, for your money making, is not good. It's up and down. Got it? Like,
Yeah.
if I had 10 house placement, for second is way better because it's trying.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? I'll be like, oh,
Earth,
yeah,
Earth,
yeah. But when
houses,
you kind of sacrifice, that's why you kind of spiritual, but there is other side is kind of a little bit different. That means you have to go with this placement. That means if you're born with this, that means you're spiritual, right? So okay, if you're spiritual, you don't need money, for example, right? So there we go. From 9th, second is 8th. That means you kill it, kill that, get rid of it. That means transformation. If you don't do it, we'll do it for you.
yeah.
Got it? It's like, that's why some people try, and they still get screwed, and they don't understand why, because they have displacement, that energy. They have to put that in. See, for what I did to, because I have Saturn in my second house, and
Yeah.
I have 9, so I have that placement. So what I did, I changed my diet. I changed my, and that's what fed from 9th house to my second, because this way I changed myself. I learned a lot of things, because you know what I mean. It's connect my 9th house, and then I opened my mouth about talking about spirituality, about stuff. So that's when I got even clients coming in my and even interest from the public. You know what I mean? Like, wow, because I activate that with something that I transformative. I didn't put, like, instead, if I would put my money in a bank, in stable bank, and I would be like hoping that it's gonna increase and nothing's gonna happen, it will happen. It will, because 8 from 9th, it will destroy it. It will kill that. So that means if you wanna do something, you have to do something transformative. You can't just do something. So I had to do something that I have to transform my even mouth, to make that area of my look even, and everything, and then it will activate that quality. So I'm just gonna it's like your chart tells you, like, okay, that's kind of bad placement, but same time tells you the remedy. Got it? It's not like only, oh, you got this, that's it, you know what I mean? So bad, nothing will help. It's no, actually, that's a remedy. That's a bad placement. That square is the remedy to succeed. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I always tell people when I read people's charts. Like, I explain the aspects, how like squares and oppositions are considered bad, but it's not necessarily bad. It's more something where you might struggle with, but ultimately it's going to be good, because it's going to be something you're going to learn from. Do you get what I mean? And it's like how we spoke about in private, where we said, for example, if you had like trines and sextiles, like it's generally good, but then it might mean you might overdo something. Do you get what I mean?
Like, every aspect has
it just depends on.
It's so complex. It's not that
exactly. Everything is yin and yang ultimately. So there's a good sides to everything, and there's bad sides, like, to every aspect as well. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
Like so, it's just. And another thing that I would always say to people is, if you do want to learn astrology, don't just listen to other people. You have to actually start breaking it down yourself, because otherwise you'll never learn. That's what, because some
Yeah.
people just like listen, but then it's like
No.
first I listened,
Exactly.
and then I thought, okay, like
Yeah.
I've got the main thing, but now I have to start learning like no one taught me astrology, or I'm guessing no one taught you. I guess we got given like the spark, but we ultimately went off and we've learned it and decoded it
Exactly.
ourselves, because every astrologer or someone who knows astrology will might give you a similar reading, but they will all be different as well, because everyone interprets the chart,
Different.
or yeah,
Mm-hmm. Different
will
way. Yeah.
explain in a different way. Do you get what I mean? Like I always say, like, for example, is um, the house is like the area of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, the sign is how you
How
um,
it's. Yeah.
how you approach that area
Yep.
of life, and
Yep.
then the planet is like
What?
almost like the personality, because like I see like the planets as like different personalities or characters.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like for example, if just this is a quick example, so if you've got like Mercury in Leo,
Mm-hmm.
so in, I don't know, let's say the 10th house.
Mm-hmm.
So like for example, that might mean your like 10th house being the public,
Mm-hmm.
or like your public life, um, Mercury being communication, and Leo
Mm-hmm.
being matters from the heart. So, for example, you might be someone who speaks in public from the heart and
Mm-hmm.
at spirituality. So it's like an equation. That's how I try
Yeah.
to explain it to people, like to make
Yeah.
it simple.
And
Just add
for
the three things up, and it will create its
yeah.
own.
Yep. Exactly. And plus, you can add like this too. If you put Leo on the top, a 10th house with a Mercury like this, you
Yeah,
can see like ascendant will be Scorpio.
yeah,
So then you see like another core ruler of Mercury that is ruled by Gemini, which is on 8th house,
yeah,
and Virgo will be, of course, on 11th house, which
yeah,
is nice house. But see, like whoever has Mercury in Leo in 10th house, it's still like connect. It's gonna be very transformative because 8th house ruler, which is Gemini, will be on his 10th. That means something will speak, will be very sharp. Something that will be
yeah,
maybe could be positive or negative, but those guys gonna have very sharp tongue.
yeah,
High standard because in 10th house. So you can add dimension, like you can add more, you know what I mean? Plus, they will be very, because Virgo sits on an 11th house, that means they will be very untraditional because they, 11th house is about breaking rules, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Breaking
Going through
boundaries.
new things, you know what I mean? Like multiple incomes from an untraditional way, maybe some sources, you know what I mean? Could be. So that person in 10th house with a Leo that is very proud of these things from 8th house, and plus it shows a lot too. You know what I mean? This,
Yeah,
you can make it, which is simple too, because you can see it. You know what I mean? Like you can even see what kind of home they have, because they have on a 4th house Aquarius sits there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, you can just, they come from the family that is very advanced. Maybe they had something
yeah.
that, something. That's why he's like that, maybe too. There is so much story you can see. You know what I mean? Like when you put any planet or any house, that don't buy any books. Just get this wheel. You know what I mean? And put it like this, and you're gonna learn more accurate than there is any
Yeah,
books that there is.
that's so true, brother. Because I didn't learn from reading a book. I learned from watching and like getting pen and paper and doing it all myself and
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
how it works. And do you get what I mean? And like,
Exactly. You have to see visually plus
yeah,
geometrically, because see, like circle, it helps you to see geometry in this. You see
yeah,
squares, You can see, like, you can even draw the squares, because that's why it's good to practice with your hands to draw every 144 combination, and you just learn that,
Yeah.
through it, because they will never repeat. You know what I mean? So crazy.
Also, like, a good way to learn, for example, the aspects. I'm just going to share my screen quickly.
Go ahead, brother.
Share screen. Share screen. Okay. Entire screen. Share. Yeah. Share. Let me know. Can you see? Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I see it now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if I go to, for example, where's my pictures? 1 minute. Bear with me. Where is it? Hide. Here we go. If I go back, just to give like people like an extra insight on like a really like cool way that you can learn about. Where is it? Where is? So, for example, can you see this, brother?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, for example, like if you use like the sun and moon, Leo and Cancer, as like an axis point, you can see, for example, how certain aspects relate to certain planets. So, for example, the sextile always relates to Venus because Venus is always 60 degrees away from the sun or moons. It's 2 signs away. So, if you look sun, you got 1, 2. So that's Venus from this side, and then this side 1, 2. That's Venus. So that's 60 degrees away from the ruling signs of the sun and moon. And then Mars will always be a square because it will always be 90 degrees away from the sun and moon. So you got 1, 2, 3. And then from this side, 1, 2, 3. And then you can see that the opposition relates to Saturn because Saturn is always opposing the sun and moon. So you've got Capricorn opposing Cancer. So that's Saturn and moon opposition. And then you've got Saturn opposing Leo, which is another opposition. So the opposition corresponds with Saturn. And then the trine, which is 120 degrees, will always be 4 signs away from the sun. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you get Jupiter, which corresponds with a trine, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Again. So you can use this as like a template to understand the aspects as well.
That's how you learn, basically. What you that's what I was saying. You gotta put the wheel or circle, and there, that's why Nikola Tesla said, like, I think it's even fictional, but still there is a truth. 369 means 360.
Yeah.
Because 9 is 0. So that's the things that we're showing you. This is Nikola Tesla's thing, because it goes even deeper to even create even, engines, whatever technology will be found through this knowledge. You know what I mean? We even, because we are not maybe that, but there is that in there, I believe, even alchemical knowledge, because it's it's natural. You can see, you know what I mean? Like, how do you even check, Mehmet, like if universe loves you? For example, if you check your like that 12ness and just without houses, when you see like 4 is your mother universe. Okay, from 4 with 1 is you. If you count from 4 is 10. So mother's career is to have you. She's your career. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have any other career.
I get what you're saying.
You are her career. See, it loves you. From father, from 9 to 1 is 5. Father's desire to have you. Even father loves you. He's excited. He has pleasure to have you. Got it? So like you can see the wheel shows you the love as well. You know what I mean? In truth. Like, for example, number one, they say number one, right? Number one is a hero. Hero doesn't need money. Hero doesn't need, like, he's not corrupted, right? So that's why one is far away, like from, see, like reptilian mind is second one, which is assets. From to one is the 12, which is like one is far away. So like for one, second one is like more like he doesn't need money. He doesn't. That's why real hero is not. You can't buy hero.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real hero. I'm not talking about fake number ones, but
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying,
know what you mean.
you know what I mean? Like concept and root of the fundamental things about one that is way from the money. You know what I mean? It's more like connect to his reflection only. You know what I mean? And only with the 5 and 9 knowledge.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting, brother, about 1, 5, and 9 as well? If you say, like, because again, I know we spoke about this. You say it's 1 to 12, but generally, the numbers are seen from 1 to 9. Like 1 being the first one, and then 9 being the last one.
Yeah.
But 1, 5, and 9 is like interesting because 1 is the beginning, 5 is in the middle, and 9 is at the end. So it's like
Trinity going on
with them,
right?
With them 3 numbers, the fire numbers, which is what I'm talking about, which is interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can see that's why those are most important kind of like trines. You know what I mean? Like first, it's a fire axis. So what depends what some people have, like me, water sign on that fire axis, which is I have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces sitting on that higher knowledge, axis, and you have fire sitting there.
I spoke about
element
with my brother actually, because for example, I have the right elements in the right houses because I've got, like, my first house is Leo, so that's fire in a fire house. But for example, I've got the wrong mode. I've got fixed in a cardinal house, whereas my brother, he's a Libra ascendant, so he's got the wrong element but the right mode because he's cardinal.
That matters too. Yeah, exactly.
Into.
Yeah, that's another level too. You know what I mean? And which is really cool to add because probably that will help in a medical way to, you know what I mean, to this, alchemical way to get. But yeah, very important. So cool, right?
Yeah,
like I have it.
It's just you know what I've noticed, brother. Because I have another friend, Erin, and we always say that I think you could study astrology for your whole life and you would still never know everything. There's so much to it.
Yeah, it's so much.
It's just literally, it's
endless.
Endless. Like,
it is.
Considering there's different systems and different, like, Vedic and
so
like
much.
Whatever, or you've got draconian charts. You've got
so many. There's million charts.
And also there's understanding. I'm quite into the technical side of it, of like how the chart actually works and how it represents the sky, and and half of the chart being south and the bottom half being north. Like there's so
many so many things that it's related to, you know what I mean? And
house systems like Placidus and whole house and Koch and
very so crazy.
You could go on and on and on, but like, I mean, generally in most astrological sites now, Placidus is a default. The default house system. That's because it's based on time. That's why some houses are bigger than others, because each house represents 2 hours. But for example, one house might be longer because the sun was doing a bigger arc for 2 hours, whereas the next house might be short because that's was only 2 hours.
Crazy. Yeah, that's why it's so confusing. Some people don't know this, but you explain it there. Yeah, see, like Mehmet is good with this really good technical things. So technical. You know what I mean? Like it's like really cool. And that makes sense later when you go through his,
Yeah.
that when he showed me, remember that sun goes up, on the, even
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter what surface. Remember, they always argue but that's already explains so much.
yeah,
And that's what I recommend people to even watch your videos explaining that. They should, if they're confused and they don't know what's going on, you know what I mean, to at least get
yeah.
the natural, you can see what it means,
Personal,
because you see
yes,
it. Yeah, you see it. Yeah, so
exactly. Like,
that's,
believe it or not,
yeah,
the birth
exactly.
chart is the only thing. The model of the birth chart is really the only thing that we can go by, because it's what we actually see in the sky. Like you
So,
said, regardless of the actual whatever shape the floor is,
mm-hmm,
because at the end of the day, we've just all got our own personal dome. We see the sun rise, and then we see it set, and then yeah, obviously, I'm not saying the sun, like obviously when you see a birth chart, like the sun in the fifth house
mm-hmm,
suggests that the sun would be under your feet. It's not necessarily under your feet. It's
mm-hmm.
just
Yeah, I
it's
know.
away from you, and it.
Yep.
Do you get what I
That's,
mean? But I've done
yeah,
a whole
exactly.
video on this anyway. But I'm just
Yeah, which is,
using it.
yeah, I think it's a visual thing. I think best way to explain that, visually showing. Otherwise, maybe some
Yeah,
people would get it because they have more deeper visual. They can do it them acrobatic in their brain and visualize. But you have to see it visually, and then you'll
yeah,
understand. And then that'll be the simplest way, even in any model, even globe model. But it'll be
yeah,
same concept. Sun will go up, and all these heights shows you same, equator. Even NASA tells you that.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like, even they, it's still same, because they cannot lie. I mean, they can lie about other things, but whatever you see, they cannot lie, right? So we can see,
Exactly.
so it's like, come on, unless we are like totally retarded and there is like something that the sun is like whatever, I'm just saying. But in our sense, whatever we are now, it makes sense more like this, you know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
and
Because you know what's interesting, brother. What I find is that not to change the subject about the shape of the earth and all that, but just to add is that I find that, like, for someone like me who and Santos, who understands astrology and the way the birth chart works and how it rises and sets, I feel like we have a bit more of an extra dimension than most other people, because I see a lot of people explain things and I think to myself, it's wrong. Like, I'm not saying I'm a master and I know everything, but there's a lot of people that will say like stupid little things, and you think, oh my god, why
oh
are you
yeah,
saying that? Like, you're making your calls not look legit. Do you get what I mean? So
yeah, exactly.
just
They do
like,
that.
but
Yep.
it is what it is. At the end of the day, I've made mistakes in my past videos, so we all live and
we
learn.
all we all make mistakes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah,
Nobody knows, complete, but
yeah,
yeah, I think when it's like anything, once you practice, you get better, you know what I mean? If
yeah,
you don't
exactly.
practice and you want to be karate guy with black belt, you have to practice to get to that level, and it depends how long. So it's same thing in here,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
anything, you know what I mean? When somebody researched and made so many, torture his brain to understand, he will understand more, of course, because it's more, he can do like a flips for you,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
imagine you're out of shape and somebody's doing flips in, I mean, you could get to that level, but not today. I mean, you
yeah,
never done it, so maybe a few months, maybe up to, what I mean, same thing. But that guy practice at least, even you're talented, you still have to do, you practice, you know what I mean,
yeah,
you
of
kind of,
course.
otherwise it's not like
Yeah,
you
'cause
just
you know
born.
what I noticed, brother? Like, there was a stage where, like, I was going through, we all go through things in life, and you stop studying, and like, you think, have I forgotten everything? And you have to even refresh your own mind. Although you know
Yeah,
all this, we know all this stuff.
even
We
yeah,
still have to practice again or refresh our mind
exactly,
to get
yeah,
what
that's what it is. Yeah, it's like cycles in us, that, and then you change a little bit of your own perspective. You can filter some stuff, and but you could use your mind and filter certain things that maybe it's not even had to be filtered. You don't know. You see, like our mind is so complex. You know what I mean? Who knows? But I think compassion and love and good heart will show you the truth, because
Yep.
I think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain, but if you have a good heart, you would see the truth. You know what I mean? You
Yep.
would, because your universe is good and intelligent, always wants to grow. But, so if you with that vibe, you would still, be fine. But if you are against that vibe and you want to destroy things and chopping trees off and killing animals or whatever,
Yep.
then you have to learn,
Yep.
again. And, it's
Definitely.
not nothing wrong with that too. We all destroy, and but you're gonna learn some lesson, and
Yep.
that lesson might be not that pleasant, you know what I mean? So, but I think good heart and compassion is the truth. That's a natural science. Natural is a heart, natural, neutral. So when you open your heart, that's when you see the truth, because you're not jealous, you're not comp- competing with somebody, you know what I mean? And then your ego is balanced, so you get more truth that way. Otherwise, ego over comes, you know what I mean, and gets the good truth out of you, because with ego you cannot find truth, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because ego is that, I know this and I'm this, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So which is difficult to do that. We still need ego for ego in that there is a truth and goodness, and I'm proud of that. But
Yep.
not in ego that I am, you know what I mean,
Better
powerful
than
and I am
people
muscly
and
face or whatever
yeah.
hands, or I am strong. But ego in the truth, you know what I mean? That's the
Yep.
good ego, but not over doing too extreme, to kill somebody for that ego, and like religion people turn, or other for other things. You know what I mean? It gets really. That's why it's crazy. It's really tricky reality. It's so limited, and it's so, you could screw up really easily. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so it's just like, that's why you have to, like, it's like walking on a rope. You know what I mean? And then you have to balance yourself. That's kind of, this is our reality. You always fall and then come back, and then so, and what are you gonna do? So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to be open-hearted, open-minded, it will help you more than if you're gonna shut yourself down. You know what I mean? Just open yourself. Don't be afraid. Learn things. Like, don't take it personally. Just learn and process, and whatever feels natural to you, that's the truth for you. You
Yeah.
know.
Cool. Well, brother, I think we should end it there. We've been
Yes, I
going
think
an
we should.
hour 30 minutes. It's quite long. And
Yeah.
I've
Yes.
really, really enjoyed this talk, man. And I'm sure
Me
we're gonna.
too.
I know we speak in private anyway, and we speak for
Yeah.
hours, so we could go
Yeah.
on forever. But obviously, we
Yes, for
don't want to
sure.
bore the audience. But for definite, we're gonna do another
Yeah.
show.
If
Maybe we can
let's
another
see the
show.
messages. If some, yeah, like, people will get interested, we can even do more, you know what I mean? Like,
For
we can
sure.
maybe do theology together with
Yeah.
like Muhammad's story much in detail. Let's put the chart, and you know what I mean, let's get the story next to us and match it, you know what I mean, with the houses. That'll be really interesting, with the rulers, that'll be so cool. Thank you, brother.
Definitely. But I just want to say, brother, thank you for sharing your time with us and expressing amazing knowledge and wisdom. And like I said, we're definitely going to do this again. And for everyone watching, let people. You do have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
my
let people
same
know
name,
what.
Guram.
I'll write it in the description below,
Yeah.
but let the people know where they can see some of your work.
Okay, there is not much, but because I am kind of like a moody person, I feel like I'm not public person that much. But
Yeah,
if they wanna contact me and stuff, they can find me on Facebook, and I do readings even, and I teach these things. You know what I mean? What I know, and
yeah,
combinations that I was talking about, like, and stuff like that. So they can find me on Facebook through you probably.
yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll leave your links in the description below the
yeah,
video
yeah.
anyway.
That would be nice.
But
Thanks.
yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you've managed to stay and watch the whole thing, I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's any questions from me or Guram, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. But until next time, peace, love, and blessings, guys, and we're out. Peace.